All right, everybody, I've got 11:30 right on the dot here, and I know your time is valuable, so I want to get right to this. First of all, for those who may not know me yet, I know it's been a while since I've been able to get out and meet a lot of you in person, and been a few of you new to your positions wherever you're working at right now. My name is Jason Laney. I'm the warning coordination meteorologist for the Weather Service here in the El Paso area. We're officially in Santa Teresa. But the bottom line is, I'm just one of many meteorologists there. And basically, what I'm going to be sharing with you today is not so much knowledge that I have about the upcoming weather system, but what the folks back at my office have been doing the last few days. It's going to be a little bit of a tricky one, but it's something I want to share with you. So I'm going to go ahead and close off my camera so you can turn your attention not to my bedroom here, but to actually what's going on with the weather. So we are looking at a potential winter weather situation for early next week in the time frame from Monday to Wednesday, although we'll start to feel some impact and stronger winds as early as Sunday. The thing is, this is still at least 96 hours. That's 4 days out from being an impactful weather event if that's going to happen. Weather models are still all over the place. They're getting better, they're getting closer, but they're still not where we would like to see them. And in any other normal type year, I would probably have waited one more day, at least 72 hours, to give you guys this heads up. But obviously, we're heading into the weekend. Some of you, especially those that are involved in road weather management, probably need the extra time to start preparing for a potential worst case scenario if that were to happen. So I figured I would go ahead and get this thing started just a little bit early for us. So what can we expect? First and foremost, a strong cold front's coming. Now we've got a cold front in the area today and it's cooling us off a little bit. You can imagine that the next one's going to be much more potent than this one. So that gets here early Monday. Now, the models are still differing 2 or 3 hours on either side of daybreak as to whether or not when this thing will hit El Paso and Las Cruces. But the bottom line is that it is on its way and it will be having an impact on our temperatures Monday, Tuesday, and into Wednesday. So most definitely, we're going to be looking at much colder temperatures. And that in itself can be somewhat problematic. Keep in mind, we've been looking at record high temperatures in the 90s for so long. Many people are still using their swamp coolers. They haven't even thought about preparing their heating units for the winter. So we don't want to catch folks off guard with this. Now that's the temperature side. The next one is what comes from the sky. Will we get rain? Will we get snow? Will we get ice? Will we get absolutely nothing as the system moves overhead? That system's going to be here sometime Monday through Wednesday. One computer model says it's going to get in and get out in a hurry. The other says, no way, I'm going to stick around. And if it does, it could bring some lowland rain, maybe some snowflakes mixed in, and certainly some snow to our mountainous areas. Now, I mentioned the fact that we're 4 days out, and computer models never like to agree that far out. And even computer models get this thing wrong. Sometimes we have to go to our own forecast ideas, having lived here and seen this happen into the past. So when we talk about the temperature forecast, if you're basing it just on the computer models, I would say our confidence level in that's pretty low. But knowing what I know about the folks that are making this forecast back in my office and some of the communication I've had with them the last couple of days, I'm personally willing to push our forecast temperatures into the moderate range as far as confidence goes. The same goes with the track of this upper weather system. If you watch the computer models, you'd say, I don't know if it's going to go here or there. That would give us low confidence in the forecast I'm going to share with you in a minute. Again, I've got more confidence in our forecast team back at the National Weather Service, so I'm going to boost that up to a moderate confidence in my personal belief of this. The one thing I'm still keeping a low confidence on is the amount of rain or snow. Even if we get the track right, even if we get the temperatures right, these things can be so tricky. This is our first system of the season, and many times computer models, even the ones that get the track right, tend to kind of overdo our precipitation down here. So I'm going to show you what we're expecting here right shortly. Here's the first part of the puzzle, the cold front. It's going to get here near daybreak Monday, give or take a couple of hours, and it's going to swing through the entire area that we cover. That's most of southern New Mexico and certainly far west Texas. And while we'll see some gusty west winds Sunday ahead of this, we're going to see some pretty strong east winds on the back side of it. So folks that live in the typically windier spots east of the mountains, say they're in eastern parts of Las Cruces heading up into the foothills, western parts of El Paso, those areas will see some very windy conditions. Now temperatures, we're going to start the cool down Monday and we'll be 5 to 10 degrees below normal, not 5 to 10 degrees colder than the day before, 5 to 10 degrees below normal. and that increases to 10 to 20 degrees below normal on Tuesday. So one of my forecasters put together this lovely graphic for us this morning. The top line of temperatures are forecast high temperatures in El Paso, and the bottom line is Las Cruces. We picked our two largest metropolitan cities. So you can see we'll be going from upper 80s on Sunday to upper 60s on Monday. That's going to be a good 20-degree drop. And then we're going to knock another 10 degrees or so off of that heading on into Tuesday, with that being our coldest day. Now, obviously, daytime temperatures aren't going to be as big a concern as the nighttime temperatures. That's when we could be looking at the freezing temperatures. So this is where I want to talk about my forecaster confidence and what's going on here. If you look at the temperatures for Tuesday morning, now obviously we're below freezing in the mountains. Anything that comes down in the mountains, you're going to get snow. Anything that comes down, I think Tuesday morning in the lowlands, if it isn't rain, it's going to melt into liquid equivalent right quickly, because I think we're going to stay above freezing in most lowland spots on Tuesday morning. And that's our best chance for getting rain and or snow, believe it or not. But the temperature just above the surface is quite a bit colder than this. So it's quite likely as it falls from the sky, it could fall as snow. You will see some snowflakes Tuesday morning, even in the lowlands, but it'll quickly melt on contact. So for most of us in our driveways and down our street that we live on, that shouldn't be an issue. But for my DOT partners, NMDOT, TxDOT, obviously you know what happens with exposed roadways. You're the experts on roadway weather management. And so you may have some trouble spots even in the lowlands, even with the temperatures we're forecasting here. Now, look on the right-hand side of the screen to Wednesday morning. Our temperatures are just a shade colder than Tuesday morning. This is all about the timing of this system. If the clouds are out of here by Wednesday morning, it's going to be colder than this, which means most lowland areas could freeze. One of the forecast models says just that. Another one says, no, the clouds are still going to be around, so you're only going to be a couple of degrees cooler than you were the day before. Notice I put a note in the bottom there. I do expect Wednesday morning temperatures to be anywhere from 2 to 4 degrees colder than what we're looking at here. So that would indicate that somebody in the lowlands, maybe not the big cities, but certainly the outlying areas, could be looking at freezing temperatures Wednesday morning. And I think once we get about 2 more forecast cycles in for us tonight and early tomorrow morning, we're going to see that reflected in what we're doing. So I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up on that. So let's talk about what decides what will happen. And that's this big upper low. I'm not drawing any weather features on for you. I'm showing you where we expect it when it starts impacting the area on Monday, and where we think it's going to go by Wednesday with the red arrow. This is the American model. This is the one that goes fast. This one keeps most of the worst weather up to the north of us. Our partners at the Weather Service office in Albuquerque are going to have their hands full if this comes to pass, because that's where most of the worst winter weather is going to be. Now, I know part of NMDOT does move into that area, so I wanted to give you guys a heads up on how that could be affecting you, at least as you get just outside of the area that we forecast. But for the area that I've got highlighted, that's the area that my office forecasts for. I think our rain and snow totals will be somewhat limited. There'll be a few inches in the mountains, but probably nothing real significant. It'll probably end by midday or late afternoon on Tuesday. The catch is, this is the one that gets real cold. This is the one that says, yeah, we're definitely going to have a freeze on Wednesday morning. And then there's the European model, which past history has told us this one tends to do a little better than the American model with these kind of weather systems. So we might want to trust this one a little more. Well, it's going to go a lot slower, and it's taking a southerly track. If we were 2 months from now, this would be almost a guaranteed snowmaker for just deep enough into the season for that to happen. But this track does tap the moisture. This track means we're going to see definitely more rain and or snow depending on where it falls. And while I do think the lowlands will stay with just rain because of those forecast temperatures, or even snow that melts into liquid once it reaches the ground, no accumulations to speak of, mind you, this would definitely mean much higher and more impactful snow totals in the mountains. So this will probably, if this comes to pass, move the impacts from a low impact event, which is what we think this is going to be, to a moderate impact event, especially up in the mountains. So I talk with my emergency managers regularly, and I'm always told the very same thing. We want the most likely worst case scenario. Don't give us Armageddon. We don't need the worst thing that's going to happen. But if you're being just a little conservative with your forecast, go ahead and give us a little bit more, because this is what we need to prepare for. So right now, with my thinking that the slow model is going to go a little faster, the fast model is going to go a little slower, they're going to get together in a couple of days. that tells me that this is probably the most likely worst case scenario. And this is a decent precipitation maker. You're looking at maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rainfall or liquid water equivalent in the lowlands. We haven't seen rain in almost forever. So that in itself could be impactful. We've got debris in the gutters. You're going to have some drainage issues. You're going to have some minor street flooding, even if it doesn't rain that hard. And the liquid water equivalents of over 1/2 inch in the mountains mean 5 inches of snow or more in those areas. So we did translate that into snowfall on the right-hand side. So you'll see places around Hatch, TRC, maybe even the stretch of I-10 between Deming and Hachita, Lordsburg there, and most certainly southern parts of Otero and much of Hudspeth counties there, looking at potential of up to 1 inch of snow. Keep in mind, I think even if we got that much snow, it would probably be mainly melting on contact in these areas. So not a huge impact, but again, roadway management is going to be crucial for preparing for this. But you do see up there in the Gila 4 to 6 inches of snow. It's not the worst winter weather that they will get this winter, but places like Cloudcroft and right in the highway up through Mescalero towards Ruidoso, all of those areas could be impacted. So talking about our impacts, the first impact, and one that most people don't think about right away, but my buddy Paul Chavez with the Office of Emergency Management here in El Paso pointed this out to us this morning at our regional emergency management meeting, that it will have some adverse effects on heating and cooling systems because most folks just are not prepared. And that could go anywhere from freezing up lines of swamp coolers to even the effects of carbon monoxide poisoning in the home. So that's something that has to be watched from a human side of things. And there can be some pretty strong winds when that cold front comes through. It's not out of line to think that maybe some minor wind damage to tree limbs and some unsecured structures along the, say, the west slopes of some of our area mountains first thing Monday morning when that colder, dense air starts to push in. And then the talk about snow accumulations. Again, I don't see them accumulating in the lower elevations, but in the higher elevations, there will be some. And the impact from that certainly would have an impact on driving conditions. So that's what I've got for you. That's the latest as far as our forecast goes, and kind of sharing with you a lot of what we consider to be our most likely worst case scenarios. Again, this is a fluid situation. I normally wouldn't have even given you this briefing until this time tomorrow. We are going to be sending out 2 pagers for you on Saturday morning and Sunday morning from our office, talking about what's changed from one forecast round to another, because we think that's very important to keep you in the loop. And of course, by Monday morning, if need be, we'll be doing another one of these along with our regular hazards outlook. We want to remind you that NWS chat is up, and that's the best way to talk to us. Our forecasters, as they are making this decision, are able to talk to you one-on-one through a chat. So if you've already signed up for that with our emergency managers and media, please use that. And if you don't know what that is and you haven't signed up for it, reach out to me via email. It's on all the emails that I send out, but it's pretty simple. My name is Jason Laney, jason.laney, Laney, at NOAA.gov. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for all the fun stuff from time to time. But we want to make sure that you all are in the loop and ready to go for this. So I appreciate your time this morning.